Aero the Acro Bat was developed by Iguana Entertainment and published by Sunsoft for the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo Entertainment System in 1993. The footage today is from the Super Nintendo version of the game. When I told a friend of mine who's the same age as I am, and never probably the kind of kid you would have called a gamer, although who didn't play games as a kid growing up in the 90s, when I told him I was going to be playing Aero the Acro Bat, he said, "I remember that game. It was always advertised in the back cover of gaming magazines and comic books." He's absolutely right. I remember the huge marketing push behind Aero the Acro Bat, but never had a chance to play it until recently. And honestly, I'm kind of glad about that. But I'll circle back around to that in a moment. The game is a platformer where Aero has a momentum-based run, and although you might expect him to jump on his enemies in a Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog-like manner, nope. You have to do a sort of screw attack move in order to take out enemies. You can collect stars, which you can throw at enemies, and other buttons do things. But honestly, I found myself just trying to avoid most of the enemies, rather than attempting to take them out. Because if you land your attacks slightly wrong, you'll take damage. Luckily, there's a health meter, and it's not always insta-death, but there are lots of spikes in the games which will kill Aero instantly, and they're often hidden in places you're going to need to get to and haven't seen before. Even in some of the very early levels of the game, I find myself having to proceed with extreme caution. It's crazy. I'm still trying to get familiar with the gameplay in general, and they're already throwing some nastiness at me. The gameplay is still fun, but I find that it requires a lot of trial and error and memorization to make your way through a level. Aero the Acro Bat's graphics are excellent, especially considering the game was developed fairly early in the lifespan of the Super Nintendo. I remember the promotional materials, the ads in the back of the comic books my friend mentioned. It's the same artwork that's on the cover of the instruction manual. I don't know if it's hand-drawn or a CG render, but this extremely smoothed out and three-dimensional looking Aero being shot out of a cannon certainly caught the eye of many, many people over the years. The game doesn't feature the same pre-rendered sprites that would gain Donkey Kong Country so much fame, but still, the character sprites are large and look good, well detailed, although it seems like there's not a huge variety of them. They are often reused level after level with minor changes. The level backgrounds add excellent depth and theming to the area of the game you're in. The music and sound effects bring back a lot of familiarity to me. Even though I didn't play this game when I was growing up, the sound effects are nostalgic in their own way, very familiar cartoon and video game sounds. It fits extremely well with the cartoon character and mascot aesthetic of the game. The music has a few instances where it doesn't exactly seem to fit the level, but in most cases the music is themed around a big top circus and the theme park setting of the game, with departures for some of the later levels. All in all though, the tracks that may not seem to precisely fit a particular level are still welcome because the music is good and it helps break up some of the repetitive nature of circus music. So what about the story? For that, we turn to the manual. Direct your attention to the center ring. The star of the show, Aero the Acro Bat, is about to make his entrance and dazzle you with his amazing feats of bravery. Today only, we have a special show for you. The world of amusement, circus, and fun park has been sabotaged by the evil Edgar Ector, an ex-circus clown bent on revenge. Ector's henchmen include the bitter Zero the Acro Bat, who's been jealous of Aero's popularity, and other psycho circus performers and fairground freaks. Now, the moment you've been waiting for, I'd like to introduce the amazing, the one and only Aero the Acro Bat! The master of acrobatics blasts out of cannons, dives through hoops of fire, plunges into water tanks, hangs on to a speeding roller coaster out of control, and bungee jumps over rocky waters. These are only a few of the stunts he shall perform to make the world of amusement safe for the spectators. Aero uses his power of drill and magic stars to dispose of the circus enemies. He must fend off the fire breathers and knife throwers while performing in the circus and fun park. Then, Aero will travel through the woods to get to the Museum of Horrors. This is where the showdown between Aero and Edgar Ector and Zero will take place. No other circus show can compare. This is unlike any game you've ever played. There are thrills, chills, and sometimes spills, so look out below. Here comes Aero. In the game, there are moments where you encounter other characters, for instance, Aero's girlfriend Ariel. Unfortunately, Aero the Acro Bat doesn't do much in the way of telling the story of what's happening in-game. You're thrown at each level, you finish it, move on to the next, the usual. Even when I rescued Ariel in the game, had I not read the manual, I wouldn't have known who she was or why she was there. You can make some inferences, but there's really nothing there. And that's unfortunate, because I feel like this game needs to do a little bit better job of dangling a carrot in front of players. Earlier I mentioned it was a good thing that I hadn't gotten around to playing this game until more recently. That's because if I had played it when I was, 9 years old, I would have been frustrated beyond belief. The level designs are filled with traps and one-hit kills, and although the game is fairly generous with health bars and the number of lives and how easily you can find one-ups, it still has one major flaw. When you use a continue, you continue from the beginning of an area, and each area of the game contains multiple stages or acts. While each individual act can be relatively short, that doesn't necessarily mean I want to be replaying all of them. The circus area that starts the game has 5 acts and a boss level. Exhaust all of your lives at any point in those 5 acts, and you go back to the very beginning when you use a continue. I found it difficult to manage as an adult, and I firmly believe that an experience like this in my youth would have made this game prime rage quit material. So, when it comes to Aero the Acro Bat, the game mechanics are fun, the mascot character is adorable and likable, and hey, it even has what the gaming community has affectionately come to call a minecart level. But learning about why you're doing what you're doing, and about characters, is almost exclusively limited to the instruction manual. And the game's difficulty, unfortunately, makes me feel pretty acro bad about giving up on our story so far. Hey everybody, thanks for watching episode number 85 of Our Story So Far TV. Thanks for bearing with me. As you can probably hear in my voice, I've got a bit of a head cold this week. I'm trying my best to shake it for next week. We'll see what happens. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you like the concept of the video, please watch other ones here on the channel or subscribe. New videos are already in the works, so come back every Friday for a new episode of Our Story So Far TV. Until next time, take care of yourself.